But what is Robin Robbins marketing? And I've gone over the years, I've actually redefined and defined that what is marketing in general. But what marketing is, it's the sum total of everything you do to get, keep, and monetize clients and build the value of your business. Okay? So when most people come to me and they're looking for marketing, what they want is just, one, they go, I just want more leads. Get me more leads. That's all, I need more customers. They don't discriminate. They don't say, well, here's the specific type of customer I want. They just want more of them, okay? Or they don't even think about this gold mine of clients they have that they're not monetizing. I'm telling you, every single person in here, I'd be willing to bet my house, this is how confident I am, that unless you're like a brand new startup, well, even if you have one customer, I'd even say, maybe if you have no customers, this doesn't apply. You are not monetizing your existing customers to the level you could, getting referrals, cross-sell, upsell. That is, if you want a place to start there. But you got all these things in your head. You're like, oh, I don't like my customers. They're a bunch of cheapskates. You know, I want new ones because the ones I have are dysfunctional. You know, it's like the old saying, the one commonality in all your broken and dysfunctional relationships is you, right? It's like having a party and you don't like anybody that's there. Well, who invited them? You, right? So the customers, there's not like a magic pool of better customers out there. You know, you have to understand the customer as they are, and you develop the customer, and you do want to target better. I mean, if you're going to get customers, get ones with money. Willie Sutton was a bank robber, and when he asked, why do you rob banks? He said, well, that's because that's where the money is, right? So if you're going to go out and get customers, at least get the ones that aren't cheap and that have some money. But when you think of marketing, marketing is not a postcard, it's not a website, it's not a newsletter. Not the type of marketing I'm going to teach you. What I want you to understand is your business as a whole is a money-making unit. And yes, you have to have good customer service. Yes, you have to have leadership. Yes, you have to have sales. All that goes into the sum total of everything you do to get and keep customers. How you answer the phone is marketing. See, McDonald's had it right. When McDonald's talks about marketing, Ray Kroc understood that clean restrooms was marketing. Now, it's different today, but he understood. Disney understands. You saw Doug Lip. Disney understands. Did he tell the gum story about the gum on the pavement, the $1 million piece of gum? So, well, anyway, he could tell better. But Disney, that's why you don't ever see any gum, because all it takes is somebody to step in a big wad of gum, get it on their shoe. They've just now ruined their whole experience. They go back. They don't spend money. They don't return. They tell 10 friends, and that's $1 million piece of gum. I'm telling you the very short, unsexy way of telling you. But everything you do is marketing. It's not just your website. It's not just your postcards or your newsletters, okay? So what I want to do is I want to talk to you about what I see marketing as. And it's important that you understand this because it's going to be the filter for everything else that you do. And hopefully you guys like it because, like I said, I just did this at a rapid implementation workshop and it was very well received. Okay, so the first and most important thing you have to understand, what the type of marketing I'm teaching you is called direct response marketing. Is anyone familiar with what direct response is? No? Okay, good. We got a lot of catching up to do. So direct response marketing is not something I invented. It's been around since the post office first opened. And it's not just postal mail, though that is of course part of direct response. It's a measurable form of marketing where we are trying to elicit a response. It can be any media. It can be a website, it can be an email, a LinkedIn message, a radio ad, a TV ad, anything at all. But what we are trying to do is elicit a response, a lead. Now, and like I said, it's been around forever. So Seth Godin did a really good book in his book, Permission Marketing. Anyone read Seth Godin, Permission Marketing? It's a good book, right? It's direct response. That's what he's talking about. HubSpot, the whole inbound marketing, the whole inbound, they call it, that's direct response marketing. They're putting a fancier name on it, but it is direct response. So everything you do should elicit, you should be able to track back, if you spend $1 today, did you get 10 back? And see, a lot of marketing firms, you guys know, let me tell you a little of my history, because I know some of you don't know. So I work for 2 different marketing agencies. And I was in sales my whole life, and even in the agencies, I was a sales rep. I was an account manager. But I started to learn marketing. And the thing that always astounded me, here are these marketing firms that are selling marketing services that aren't using marketing to get customers. And I remember asking, I got hired for this is the second job, because I left the first agency because they were small, and there's a number of reasons. I won't get into that story, but I go to this bigger agency that was a direct response agency, and I got the job because I wanted to see how the big guys worked, because I'm thinking surely these guys know, the big company in Nashville. And I remember sitting around at a conference table with the CEO in the room, and I said, I got a question. Why aren't we using, we sell direct mail, we sell email broadcast. Why aren't we doing that for us? And I got kicked under the table by the manager who's didn't want me to make him pissed off and angry. And I didn't get a good answer back. And that should have been my sign to get the hell out of there, because all they are glorified fulfillment shops. Most marketing agencies do not want to do direct response. Now take a guess. We practice direct response, which is a measurable form of marketing designed to elicit a response. Why do you think most agencies do not want to do direct response? They're accountable. They are accountable. Do you know how marketing agencies measure the success of a Super Bowl ad? Not sales. Hashtags. How many of you would like to pay an agency $100 million to create and run an ad, and they come back and you have the meeting and it's after the Super Bowl and all right, and you're sitting there and you're going, how many cars did we sell? And they go, I don't know, but we got you 200,000 hashtags, right? You know what I'd say to that agency? Great, I'm going to pay you in hashtags since they're so valuable, okay? How do you like that? Because I don't know about you, but my bank doesn't take hashtags. It doesn't take likes. It doesn't take followers. It doesn't take list size. It doesn't take any of that. My bank takes dollars, checks, money, right? So all the marketing I'm doing is a very naked kind of advertising, because you can count. Did it work or did it not? And that's why you hear all of my success stories. If you see people on stage, that's why they're telling you numbers, because I teach them to count. So you want to hire a marketing person, this is your first lesson. You're right. If you're going to hire somebody who's like your social media guru and they're getting you likes and followers and more views on YouTube, that's all well and good. Some of those are leading indicators, but ultimately I want to know dollars and cents ROI. How many new customers, how many leads, how many new customers, how many dollars did I put in the bank? Second, the ultimate goal of everything I teach you is to put you in a position of power and authority so you get to prescribe instead of prospect. So why do we do books? Why do we do free reports? Why do I teach you to get on stage and do seminars, lunch and learns? Why do I have you do a shock and awe box? Why am I doing all that? It's because I want to position you before you walk into that prospect, you should be a credible authority person. So everything so for the newbies, where to start, I want you to know this, you don't start here, because it's a building, to become a mini celebrity and get your book and get established, it could take you 2-3 years. It's not an overnight process, but keep in mind, ultimately, you want to be the authority that people invite in, not the salesperson that has to prospect. Because if you are perceived as just another salesperson, you're going to get blocked, screened, you're going to get sifted and sorted through. So everything I'm teaching you is how do you become the celebrity to your chosen market, however you choose to define it, whether it's a vertical or a geography or any combination thereof. Does that make sense? Okay. That's where we're ultimately trying to get to. Number 3, we measure marketing success on sales generated and clients acquired, not likes, friends, followers, subscribers, hashtags, SEO rankings, etc. Again, they are important in the sense of leading indicators, but ultimately, don't ever let a marketing company sell you, we got your rankings up. That's bullshit. It is before we engage with that SEO company, before you engage with that LinkedIn, whoever it is, You need to say, all right, how much do you want it? You want $10,000 of mine? Okay, here's what I need to see back in customers to make that $10,000 investment worth it. I need 5 customers, right, at this price point, whatever it is. And then ask that company, do you want to play? Can you do that? Can you guarantee that? They may or may not take you as a client, because you as a client, there's a lot of ways you guys can screw things up. You know what I mean? So it's not entirely their fault. But that is at least part of the conversation that should be going on, right? If I spend this money, how am I going to get customers? We're not timid about sales and marketing, in case you haven't noticed. So just to say, like Zig Ziglar had the best quote on this. He said, timid salespeople have skinny kids. Now, my Jamie is skinny, but that's not because I'm not making money. She's just, a geeky little 8-year-old. But timid salespeople have skinny kids. So yes, our marketing is designed to get a sale, to get in the door, to get the appointment and close that fucker down for as much money as you can get. Unapologetically. If you've got issues with that, you're not going to last around here long. Because I'm not out to rape and pillage. I'm not out to take advantage of people. I'm all about providing value in advance. And you'll hear me talking over and over again about how service marketing starts with the service. All right? But I'm going to tell you right now, if you think you've got something worth having, someone's going to get that business. And I always think, why not you? Why not you? And if you're timid, if you're uncertain, you're going to go in there and present all the options and let them pick which one they think is best. I mean, think about your customers. First of all, they don't even know what's best for them. They don't know if you're better than you or any better than you. So that's why they compare on price, because they don't have anything else to establish. I mean, how else do they establish? So when we go in to sell an account, we are going in to sell. We want that shock and awe to go in advance. We're going to do heavy inbound marketing. We're going to try and close them. Not in a used car salesman unprofessional way. I'm not suggesting that at all. But I'm saying you're going to go in there to win. And again, if you have a problem with that, if you feel uncomfortable with that, if that's not your mode of operation, then you're not going to get, this is all not going to work for you. It's just not, because that's how everything we do is wired. We believe in being market-driven. This is important, which means we start by defining a lucrative target market and then engineering the product or service that the chosen target market wants to buy. That then gives you your unique selling proposition. See, this is what hangs a lot of people up. Every business owner starts the same way. They get into their business for all the wrong reasons. They get fired from a job, their job turns into a business, their friend was in IT, so they end up in IT, maybe they're working for somebody else and they think, well, this idiot can do it, I can do it and keep all the money, right? Isn't that how I probably describe pretty much everybody in this room, right? So you get in business for all the wrong reasons. It's because you're good at doing something. And you think, well, why not start a business? I'll have the freedom, now I won't have a job, I won't have a boss, right? So now you work for yourself and you're free to work any 80 hours a week you want, right? So there you go. But if you're entrepreneurial in your thinking, if you're entrepreneurial by nature, you start with, who is the customer I want? Because the who defines everything. It defines what vendors, it defines what service you deliver, which defines who you hire, which defines your price point. So the who defines everything, and everybody does it backwards because they go into a conference like this and they, hey, can I see your managed services agreement? Can I see yours? What do you guys include? Do you include this? Do you include? And pretty soon they cobble together something that looks like everybody else, and then they go out and try and sell it, and all they're trying to sell is another, look-alike, plain vanilla, same as everybody else, right? So they're basing it on what their peers are doing. They're not basing it on what the customers want or what they want to buy. And that's when you think about your business, you may start today. A lot of this stuff is stuff that you might have to put up here and think. It's not like here's the campaign that turns you to market-driven. But if you start thinking this way, you'll start changing the way you approach business. Does that make sense? But you start with the customer. What do they want to buy that they're not getting? Who has a flexible wallet? Who has needs that are going unmet in the marketplace? Right now, here's something Cobain will probably teach you, and you should stay around for Cobain. One of the things he taught me is you ought to make a list of all the irritants in your business. of customers, the irritants customers have in doing business with you. If you don't even know what they are, he told me, Robin, you get a big F. He said, so you at least got to know what they are. He said, once you've identified them, I'm going to come back in 90 days. I'm going to ask you, what did you do to knock them off the list, change them, lessen it, do something? And he said, if you haven't changed anything, you get a second F, right? Because if you're not trying to progress, where's service has to be based on the customer where they see the value, not where you see the value. You're not your customer, okay? We're going to talk about that more in my session tomorrow. We believe if the sales letter is hard to write, the product or service is flawed. We also believe that marketing is the beginning of the sales process. These should not be two separate departments. If you got a sales team and a marketing team, anyone ever worked in a big company? Sales and marketing hate each other, right? Marketing is like, all the salespeople are lazy SOBs. They can't close. I mean, they're sleeping under their desk in the afternoon. They're playing golf. They're just cherry picking the easy leads. We're giving them all these leads, and they can't close anything. And the sales team thinks marketing is a big waste of space because they got a long list of all the things they need to sell more products and services. Where are all my leads? The leads aren't what you're smiling because this is and they hate each other, right? Imagine having a soccer team where half of the team does not like the other team and they have different goals. Could you win any games that way? I'm asking. No. You got a sales team? Where's the marketing team backing them up? You need offense, you need defense, right? You need somebody who's backing them up and making them better. Because if marketing is done right, the sales team should be spending 90% of their time in front of qualified prospects who can write a check. That's when you know your marketing is working. When 90% of your salespeople's time is in front of a customer who can write a check. Do you know why salespeople burn out? They don't burn out from selling. They like selling. I like selling. I like getting checks, signing contracts. Where they burn out is prospecting to get to sell, right? Imagine if all of you didn't have to do that. That's the marketing. That's what that should be doing for you. Aaron, who's worked for me for, I don't know, how long has Aaron been with me? Where is he? Is he in the room? Good, I can talk about him. Now, Aaron's been with me for like 8-9 years. The dude's a closer. I want someone bringing him coffee. He sits there, and I don't want him doing anything but on the phone with a pre-qualified, pre-sold prospect that can write a check. That's all I want him doing. That's all I want him doing. I don't want him answering the phone. I don't want him confirming his own appointments. I definitely don't want him stuffing envelopes. Why the hell would you do that? Right? So if you are the closer in your business, how many of you feel like you're not the best salesperson, but you're decent in front of a prospect, right? See, that's all you should be doing then. It's all the other grunt work you can outsource. You can delegate the stuffing of envelopes and the sending of emails and cleaning and scrubbing, like all that stuff. But that's when sales and marketing is working, because it's the beginning of the sales process. The other thing you have to know about me is I'm completely, totally media agnostic. I decided when I started my company, I didn't want to be like all the other advertising agencies I work for. They're all pushing an agenda. If I'm a Facebook marketing company, guess what the answer to every problem you have is, right? Or if I sell LinkedIn, that's it. So I wanted to educate my customers on what good marketing is. I wanted to teach you the strategy, right? I'm just now getting into done-for-you services, kicking and screaming, by the way. I never wanted to do that because I think it invalidates my advice. It makes me a little bit biased, right? So I've worked very hard. We are media. I don't care what media you use. The post office isn't giving me a check every month to tell you guys to do direct mail. I don't get anything for email marketing or anything. So we are media agnostic. We believe great marketing is psychology plus correct math. We'll talk a little bit about that. We think you should use a multimedia approach. So using online and offline, not one or the other, but both. And by the way, most of you want to do all digital and online because it's cheap and it's easy. Here's another thing you need to know. If you're not getting offline, you're missing a vast number of prospects. A vast number. Even in this industry, when we do our events, 80% of the butts and seats are coming from direct mail and telemarketing. Offline, not online. And we do Facebook, LinkedIn, email, we do it all. 80% is being driven by direct mail with a phone call. to you. You guys live, like you're probably looking at your email right now, some of you, right? Except the front row, you probably got it on your lap, so I don't see it. But yeah, it's down there, right? I know it. I hope that's what you're looking at down there. I don't know what else it would be. Now that I think about it, I was hoping it's a cell phone. We believe marketing is less a creative process than the building and refining of repeatable, proven processes and system. It's not a creative process. You want my number one success principle, I promise you in this? Stop trying to be creative. Put something in place, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Stop inventing. People come in, oh, Robin, I already did the bad date letter. What's the next campaign? That campaign to the 5,000 other prospects in your area. Oh, I got a list of 100. Well, go get the other 2,900 or whatever's in your area, right? Don't try and reinvent. We believe your list and the relationship you have with it is the single most valuable asset you have in your business. Do you guys?